a little love to SYL Nation.
Hey guys,
Zach says shout out
love this channel.
to SYL Nation.
Stay tuned.
I am a FIFA caffeine. Coffee gotta have some cream. Fetch a hazel beef for me while I listen to these kings. SYL might be the team. Subscribe to SYL Abdul Inc. Wiki got City magazine. Tell me what's behind the scenes. The other side of the ravine. Is it obscene or is it obscure? I am not sure. The rich is the rich off the poor. That ain't no doubt to my core. We just keep asking for more. They keep supplying, demand in the store. As long as it makes it to shore, I know for sure. They'll just keep on making more. Well, almost treasure that piece that have been transformed into corporate Hollywood whore.
Welcome to the SYL Abdul podcast, the Wednesday crew edition. Much love to SYL Nation and everyone here. We again have the Wednesday crew, and we have a fill-in for our fourth spot today. Our special guest that should be arriving momentarily. Much love to SYL Nation. We got some Star Trek news to talk about. Like, I never talk about Star Trek, so definitely appreciate the panel because they're gonna be doing all the heavy lifting with that. So that's much appreciated. Much love to the chat. I see Kenneth Gardner, Israel, Qatar, see Zod in the chat, Socks, Israel, Music City, Send Havoc, DC Talk. Come on in, make sure you smash the like, make sure you still subscribe. You know how YouTube does it. They also see comics and cosmetics in the chat as well too. We are broadcasting on, obviously, YouTube. We are broadcasting on my Facebook. So we got some Facebook love coming today. I'm on my Twitter account, and then we're also on Danny of Comics and Cosmetics, YouTube and Twitter as well. We everywhere. We everywhere right now. Now, real quick, before we get started here, little reminders. Join the Patreon, link in the description for expanded geek news coverage weekly. Really having fun doing some extra content there. We try to give it to the patrons, but we don't leave out the members. I just had a members direct video last week. Ended up going longer than I expected, but we touched on is Rebel Moon successful and things like that with the Snyder fandom. Definitely all members can receive those members direct, and then we will have live streams for level 2 and above. Members only, almost like a whole like rumor exclusive type thing. Deadpool and Wolverine coming up real soon. Directly support the platform. Stream Elements, Cash App links in the description. Links scroll through the chat. Super chats for the live crew. Super thanks for the replay crew as well. If you decide to do a super chat, consider using Stream Elements that supports the platform more directly. Now, before we get started here, I want to briefly mention and appreciate all the love and support this past week with my birthday week. I normally do these birthday streams. Wasn't able to do it last week. Kind of broke a streak of 3 years. We had a nice run, but appreciate those that still reached out, gave me nice things and stuff, nice words and nice things. So I appreciate all the support, SYL Nation overall. I never take it for granted. Those who take out, time in their day to wish me well. And so I appreciate y'all as well. So just wanted to point that out. And again, just saying much love to y'all for sure. Enough sentiments. Let's get into the topics today for the Wednesday crew. Let's get Danny from Comics and Cosmetics on the panel. What's good?
Up, brother? Yeah, enough sentiment.
I'm a total guy. Like, okay, whatever. I felt a little emotion. Oh, let me stop this. What is that?
Oh, I hope you had a good birthday, man. I do. You deserve it. You deserve a day off.
It was funny. I was so charged up. I was like, because I don't normally go out a lot because I'm so busy, and I had the whole weekend off, right? So I was like, I'm gonna go out. Probably started like 5, it's like early evening, I probably fizzled out in like 4 hours. Like I was done. I was done by like 10 or 11.
We old
It was,
now.
it
We
was
just
so
want to go
lame.
home. Wild night is like, I'm going to go to bed at like 9. Maybe take some snacks with me, watch some TV, and fall asleep. It's going to be great. I'm going to be so refreshed the next day. I'm going to get so many things done.
I tell you, man. It's like I was thinking, like, I'm gonna go home. I was like, yeah, I gotta catch him on this show because I gotta do this video. I was still thinking, like, I was like, no, that's so weak. It's supposed to be my day off. Anyway, appreciate your well wishes as well. And we also got the Keith on the panel, host of Morning Coffee with Keith.
I can remember those days when I thought to myself, yeah, I'm gonna accomplish so much going to bed early. I'm gonna be able to do this, that, and the other, and still come back refreshed and start my day. And then I wake up.
And then you're like, F that. I'm gonna sleep more.
You got me. And for your birthday, I'm coming on camera because
love. All this sentiment. No,
seriously though, SYL, I gotta say, man, you have always just been authentic and fun, and that's what I enjoy about you, man.
Hard agree.
Appreciate that, man. That's why we got this squad together, a good mix and blend, and I get more water breaks. Now Speedy can't make it today, so shout out to Speedy. He's in the multiverse somewhere figuring out what he needs to do. So definitely wish you well, Speedy. See you back next Wednesday. Integral part of the Wednesday crew. And then our special guest, Robert Meyer Burnett, filmmaker, writer, producer, trekkie, ultimate trekkie. He'll be here momentarily. But really that's the big topic we want to start off on. Some big Star Trek news. As soon as I saw this story, I thought of two people in my life. I don't know what this tells me about myself. But when I saw this story, first thing I was like, yeah, Keith's gonna love talking about this topic first off. And then I thought about his other twin brother, Robert Meyer Burnett. So that's why I reached out to him as well. So let's just jump into it, man. Simon Kinberg is in talks to produce Star Trek movie franchise for Paramount. This is, for all intents and purposes, a prequel to the Abram story. Now,
Kelvin universe.
Now, yeah, exactly. See, that's why they're here to fill in those. Now, Keith, it's sounding like a prequel, but I still feel it's kind of like some reboot vibes with this. What was your initial thoughts just hearing about now? Kinberg, again, he's a producer with X-Men. He's a part of some good franchises. Is this a W for the Trekkies? That's really what I want to know, Keith.
Is this a W for the Trek fans?
Yeah.
In a word, in another lifetime, maybe, but no. No, not in my opinion. It's not, because we're still dealing with the Abrams universe, which is really a spinoff, in my opinion, from K-Trek, Kurtzman universe. So until we can get back to real Star Trek, that's what we're going to be dealing with. And until there is a major sale of CBS, Paramount, or whatever they're calling themselves today, I can't really see anybody that has been a Trek fan for numerous years being excited, unless you're a fan of what has been passing for Star Trek since 2017.
Let's say, except for Star Trek Picard season 3 and Strange New Worlds.
I can't go with you down that road. I can't because look, if you're going to try to pass yourself off as a prequel, that's fine. But now, because of what they're doing on that show and because of what their showrunner, Akiva Goldsman, has been saying, you don't even have that anymore. Okay? The Enterprise on Strange New Worlds, according to Akiva Goldsman, is actually bigger than the Enterprise of the original series.
That's dumb.
So, unless you're going to shrink the Enterprise down for Kirk and Spock, his explanation is that they are making changes to the original Roddenberry series. So when they make the changes, they are to be official changes, meaning that
I
you
don't
are
want that.
overriding what Roddenberry. See, that's the whole thing about that episode that they did with Khan. That overrides what Roddenberry and his crew did. So again, that entire universe, starting with Discovery, isn't a prequel. It is
I
a
cannot
rebooted entire universe.
I can't do STD. I don't care how often they tell me that it's disco. Its initials are STD,
It's
and that's
STD.
Trek.
Hey,
TNG TOS DS9 STD.
But Strange New Worlds, the whole thing about having the captain in his own apartment, again, you're going to want to shrink that
But
thing
he's
down.
so hot, okay? I'm sorry.
Look, I'm not
Captain
saying he's
Daddy.
not hot. Look. My problems with current day Star Trek, I do not include any of the actors or actresses or others that are a part of it. They're people that need to work. They're people that want to work, and I have nothing against them. I got nothing against the people that create the visual effects, that create the costumes, that create the make. I got no problem with anyone connected, with the exception of the writers and producers. Those are the people I have a problem with.
Let's consider the issue with the kind of movies that Kinberg has produced. Now, he has produced some good movies like Deadpool, Logan, Deadpool 2. He also produced all the X-Men movies, honestly, and Fantastic Four, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah. Well, he's even produced Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, so he's in The Martians. Like, he's produced some pretty decent movies here in the past. But those don't line up with Star Trek. Like, his style, it's not, I don't think it's going to mesh well with Star Trek at all, because Star Trek is a completely different animal. My problem with the Kelvinverse started with J.J. Abrams saying, I want to make Star Trek cool. Here's the thing, pal. Star Trek has been cool. You just didn't get it.
From my casual angle over here, Danny, that's what got me into Star Trek when JJ was
okay. So Syl's done talking. We'll take over from here. Anyway,
so they made it cool for me, and so it's a lane for everyone here, right? But Danny, you're saying basically that you think that cheapened Star Trek in a way?
I think it proved that he didn't understand Star Trek, that he wasn't a good fit for Star Trek, because anybody who is a Trek fan, like Keith and I have been watching Star Trek since the original series. Like, that's what got Keith and I into Star Trek.
Yeah.
William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy.
Let me help you understand. Let me help you. You know that there's a difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. Well, Star Trek really is an adaptation of literary science fiction. The kinds of stories and stuff that was popular in literary science fiction is really what a good portion of what Star Trek was. Also, the fact that many of their writers wrote for Twilight Zone, but also went on to become some of the biggest names in literary science fiction.
And let's not gloss over the fact that actual science is applied in Star Trek, and not just actual science, but it's influenced the science we have today.
Yeah.
It has influenced our entire world. It's helped shape the world that we live in now. And not even that, but societally.
So Abrams said, F that, just make it cool. Right. And so
make it fast cut, make it boom boom.
Lens flare.
Basically what he did with Star Trek was he turned it into
naked green women.
He said basically he decided to basically do to Star Trek what one would say if you were to take any regular actor and put them in the Fast franchise. He made it the Fast franchise.
Yeah.
You know, he took Star Trek and just boiled it down to that. And
he was more worried about the visual, you know, making it shiny and,
yeah.
you know, cool looking, but he completely missed the entire point of Star Trek.
Well,
Period.
the biggest point for those of you who have never seen the original series, one of the things they got wrong for Abrams' Star Trek is the fact that James Kirk was not a womanizer in college.
He was no.
It was his best friend.
Yeah.
See, Kirk actually taught courses. He taught other students. He was
a nerd.
He was a nerd. And he spent his time learning. But that's all part of the mental portion of who he was. You know, and I was on a show, and there was a lifelong Star Trek fan who was the host of the show. And even I had to, you know, even I turned his head a little bit and giving him something to think about. Kirk was a very motivated man because of what had happened to him when he was younger. He witnessed a massacre on a planetary scale. And it was a massacre that probably killed people that he cared about. Now, everybody on that planet that was part of the Federation, that was part of Starfleet, they had nothing to worry about. But to be a young person, to see people whom you are basically on a planet with, where, you know, you're like the ambassador's kid or something, and you've made friends with some of the local people your age, and you see them dying in front of you. And that kicks off a whole thing about Kirk leading into him joining Starfleet. That's the whole thing about his speech to Picard in Star Trek Generations. Because it's the basis, in my opinion, mentally, as to the reason why he is the way he is. He's so dedicated to his ship. As he told Picard, don't let them promote you. Don't let them move you. As long as you're in that chair, you can make a difference. Because in his mind, had someone in a starship been there, they probably could have stopped all those people from dying. That leads you to what happened when he ran into various issues leading up to him becoming the captain of the Enterprise. His life is not the way that many people who aren't familiar with Star Trek have been led to believe. JJ's Star Trek is made for the people who aren't as familiar with Star Trek. So he uses a lot of shorthands. He changed it, but he's changed a lot of the characters.
Right.
You know, I could see from your face, it's like, wait a minute. What do you mean he wouldn't? You know, well, Chris Pine is a really good actor, but his Kirk being the way that he is not accurate. He's missing a lot of pieces. And on top of that, think about the people who, you know, you're working with. It's not like you have a job where you work with these other individuals where somebody says, you know, you take a job and you're at that job for many years. You've moved away, a different city. The way that they put that together, all these people met in the academy, even though a lot of them are different ages and a lot of them went through at different times. But in the Abrams universe, they all came together at the same time to be on the same ship. They even took away the fact that Kirk spent years on other ships before he became the captain of the Enterprise.
So he worked to get to where he is.
Is it acceptable that the fact this is like a, you know, an alternate, what do they call it, like a parallel universe?
It's an alternate timeline. But see,
Right,
that's
so
what
is that-
That's what
Does that
Kurtzman
smooth it
tried.
over at all?
Well, it to me, it made it acceptable because it was an alternate timeline and not the official history. Because now you can buy into the fact it's like, okay, so you got a lot of lucky circumstances happening to where these people are meeting, when in actuality it's just a way of shorthanding all of that stuff. Because that's what, look, in reality, that's what Kurtzman Trek is. It's an alternate timeline. Because none of that fits with anything.
If you have watched STD, Star Trek Discovery, okay, the first 2 seasons, it is painfully clear that they're trying to do Kelvin timeline. They they tried to do a Kelvin timeline show.
Yeah.
And I have confirmation on this because I've talked to the people that worked on the show.
Discovery's terrible.
It's awful.
It's
The
hot
first
trash.
2 seasons were not that bad, but
Yeah.
after the first 2 seasons, it takes a sharp turn, and here's
Hot
why.
trash.
Because they realized that the Kelvin timeline show idea wasn't working. So they had to do something. They had to get her away from Spock and then never mention that this is not the brother you're looking for.
Well,
Like they
it-
totally
it-
just wiped that. But it took this super, super sharp dive after
Yeah.
season 2 because they realized people aren't buying this Kelvin timeline stuff. They don't want it. So then they tried to do what it is now,
Hmm.
and that's not working either. So it's
Nope.
getting
I
canceled.
don't think I even gave it a chance after that. But as
Oh,
far as with this
it's
project, again, Simon Kinberg, big time producer. He's kind of being positioned as he may be the new kind of brain trust or key man for future Star Trek films. It says if this goes well, the door will be open for him to take active creative roles for the rest of the story franchise films going forward. So this will be on the film side. Now on the TV streaming side, Keith, you got Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Akiva Goldsman. I mean, he's
me
hit or
too.
miss with a lot of his scripts, but I'm a fan of him. We'll go with Danny on this one. I know what Keith's going to say. Danny, Danny, on the TV side, we kind of touched on some of the streaming shows, but outside Discovery, I don't know if Akiva Goldsman is a part of that.
yes.
That writing, he is okay. So that's terrible.
He is a part of all Star Trek. Star Trek is very well known for keeping its people. They use the same people, well, as much as they can. Like Dave Blass has been the production designer for every Star Trek show in the last, well, all the Star Trek shows that are on now. Like he's in movies. He's been a part of that since the J.J. Abrams movies, as has Neville Page and George Hildebrand. He's their researcher. They keep their people. They're a family for 100%. The Star Trek loves their people, and if it works for them, they keep them. And that includes Goldsman.
As long as you're not a fan of the original stuff, they are happy to keep you. I'm serious.
So,
I'm not being funny.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Bill Shatner, pardon me, don't come at me, the Shat. Bill Shatner has been very vocal that he'd enjoy making a cameo here and there if they'd allow it, but he doesn't think that Paramount will allow him to come back because he feels like they're trying to erase his Kirk, that he wouldn't fit in the world that they're building. And I know a lot of people think that, because I was seeing it in the chat, like, oh, it's time to sell Trek. I'm telling you, Paramount will never, ever sell Star Trek. Not never.
Well, they're going to get bought, as it alludes in this article, either Sony or Skydance.
Paramount may get
absorb
bought.
them. Yeah, Paramount.
Yeah, Paramount may.
That's what we're talking about. They're not going to sell. That's the point.
No, they're we're a package deal.
The reason that Paramount is viable because they have the Star Trek franchise. They're never going to separate from it. But that's why people are coveting buying Paramount, because of that IP and other IPs that Paramount has. But so on the TV side, Danny, then again, we're sitting aside Discovery. Picard had a strong third season. Strange New World. So go ahead, Danny.
Let me tell y'all a little story about how Star Trek Picard season 3 just gave like 300 middle fingers to every other studio and IP out there that's tried to revive or revamp an IP. Bring in the nostalgia, like all these other IPs that are struggling right now, and they're trying to like toss the nostalgia out there, but they're not able to quite find the right mix. Well, Terry Matalas steps up. He's like, watch this. Star Trek Picard season 3. I don't know one Trekkie, Trekker, Star Trek fan, whatever you call yourself. I don't know one Trek fan who does not sing the praises of specifically season 3. What's up, Jesse? Star Trek Picard season 3, and we're very specific about it. Very specific, because season 1 was like, no thanks. Yeah, season 2, they were getting close. They brought back John Delancey for Q. Love Q, one of the greatest of all time, the GOAT. And then Star Trek Picard season 3 comes in, and it was like just right hook after uppercut of just perfection, left and right. They absolutely 1000% nailed it. They had the right mix of nostalgia, the right mix of new storytelling. They really, honestly, 1000% killed it. And I was watching this last year thinking Disney is about to poop their pants, because Paramount just came out and showed them up. It just proved that they're being lazy and just lazy with their writing and production. And now you have Disney. What are they doing? They poached Terry Matalas, the man who did Star Trek Picard season 3, showrunner, writer, director. They snatched him up. So I'm telling you, Star Trek Picard season 3 has just saved everything. You're welcome.
So let's get Keith's perspective on this. So because I still have to finish season 3 again. I'm the casual guy here, Star Trek. But I kept hearing about season 3. See, and I will say I enjoyed season 1 of Picard. It was like, okay. Season 2 was, again, an okay watch. I love my sci-fi. It gave me sci-fi and science and stuff. But season 3, I'm hearing like that's like,
gold
amazing.
Standard now. It's the gold standard.
Like, Keith, is that first? I'm assuming you watched season 3, and like, is that a W? That's Kurtzman, right? That's on Kurtzman's watch.
Yeah. Well, that's because Kurtzman. Look, Terry Matalas, first and foremost, is a guy with a lot of experience.
Yes,
going in, and he worked. I think they hired him in time for season 2 of Picard, and it turns out that he's one of the few people that actually had experience working on Star Trek, real Star Trek, before Kurtzman Trek ever existed. He worked on, I think it was DS9 and Voyager, and so he actually knew what the blank he was doing.
Yes.
And the reality was that I think Goldsman went off to go do Strange New Worlds, and Kurtzman had something else he was doing. So they had nobody to basically work on a season 3, and Matalas just stepped up and said, "I'll do it." And so they
Apparently
pretty much
crushed it.
Well, they left him alone. See, that's the other big thing. Kurtzman is such that he doesn't really easily let stuff go when it comes to Star Trek, because of small ego problem. And when I say small, I mean it's small ego problem, like small ego problem, temper tantrums and stuff like that. But the thing is that Terry Matalas immediately knew what he wanted to do as far as who he wanted to bring in. And so he brought in a lot of people who he had worked with before, in terms of people to help him not only behind the scenes, but even certain actors who he had brought in, who he had worked with on other projects. And so he made them guest stars. Look, for the most part, season 3 was, I don't want to say it was easy, but production-wise, it was it required them the use of a lot of sets. And so it's not like making a movie, but it was difficult, especially in so much as, breaking a lot of the pseudo rules that Kurtzman had about working on Star Trek, or how they would do things with his version of Star Trek. Terry Matalas did an incredible job, given how many restrictions he was under, because Kurtzman has rules about the way that you work in his version of Star Trek. And so if you can follow those rules, you'll be allowed to do almost anything you wanted. And the first thing was breaking the initial rule about not having all the other next generation actors in there. Broke that rule.
And I
Oops.
think what you were saying about them leaving him alone, I think a little that had to do with that was they knew the show was ending after season 3, so it
Yes.
didn't really matter,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
numbers wise,
It
because
wasn't
the show was
setting up
already canceled.
anything.
Well,
yeah.
but Akiva
Full
Goldsman
story.
had to go work on Strange New Worlds. He was still building that. Okay.
Yes.
And then Kurtzman had another project he was working on that he was really excited about. So
The
if they,
Man Who Fell to Earth.
I think so. So it was really about not having anybody in their minds to actually head up season 3. And if they couldn't find anybody, they were just going to let it go.
Actually, Jessie, she's got a comment. She said Terry was going in at season 2, but since he was going to run season 3, both seasons ran back to back. He
Yes.
stepped back and let Kurtzman do season 2.
Yes. Well,
that makes sense.
Kurtzman was working. Kurtzman was doing his thing. But again, I think that really season 3 of Picard is the only thing worth anything in all of Kurtzman Trek, because it's the only real Star Trek they got. It's the only thing that celebrates Star Trek, at least as far as the next generation
Yeah,
is concerned.
and not just Star Trek itself, but it was a love letter to the fans.
Yeah.
And specifically the next generation fans that were kids when that came out.
So
It was an
briefly-
absolute love letter. And I said it in the chat, but I have to say it loud and proud.
Mhm.
I get to interview Terry Metalis on Comics and Cosmetics.
Let's touch on that.
I'm so
on Terry
excited.
Metalis.
I'm gonna pee my pants again because I'm so excited. If you think I'm not gonna ask him
TMI.
all these questions and bring up all these points, you wrong. Because
Terry Metalis is a hot name right now, right? Let's kind of detour. We'll come back to Star Trek, but he got that job. Marvel has him over there for the Vision series, White Vision. So that's West Coast Avengers, folks. Just to let y'all know, Mikey was right with that. So that's coming. But Marvel's not going to let him go. Okay, like he's never coming back to Star Trek. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him about
over
that because those are some golden handcuffs they've got him in now.
Yeah. I look at what Metalis is going to do with Vision, because again, you're going to have the West Coast Avengers in that project. It's going to be I don't know, on surface people say, "Oh, a Vision series." Do people really want to see a Vision series?
I
put the West Coast Avengers in there with it. That's going to get very interesting.
Yes, and and I think it's more of because it's a direct sequel to WandaVision, and that's what people have wanted since WandaVision ended, because WandaVision was a good show. It was the first. It was a good show. I mean, like up to the Ralph Boner part, I understand that. Yeah, that was like, are you seriously? Stop trolling us.
And then COVID messed up the final fight. I get it, but WandaVision was like appointment television over here on the East Coast. I'm up 3 a.m. watching that, just like X-Men 97. It was that good of a show.
But yeah, it was a good show, and I think people were excited when the Vision Quest was first announced, like 1.5 million years ago. But then we kind of forgot it, and we had a lot of, bummers in between. And I wasn't really I was talking to Josh from Den of Nerds about it just 2 seconds ago. And he's like, I haven't been hyped for this show. I said, me either. I haven't been at all. But as soon, I talked to Terry Metalis this morning, and he's like, I'm really excited. I'd love to come on your show. I'm swamped right now. I just started a new project, but I'd love to come on your show.
He was talking about
Super
Vision.
casual.
Just to give people the timeline. The Vision wasn't announced like late this afternoon on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You talked to him this morning. He said, I just picked up this little project.
Yeah. And I'm like, just this little project, no big whoopsie do, and then I see that announcement and I'm like,
plastered everywhere.
First of all, my timing was impeccable. Talk about failing upwards, my timing was just incredible. And as soon as I saw that it was him, he's the showrunner, and knowing how he runs his projects, now I'm excited. Now we're actually going to probably see Wanda assault Wonder Man, like something. We are going to see West Coast Avengers for real. We are going to see some good
Oh
stuff
yeah,
because this
that's
is a
gonna be
man who knows, he loves this stuff. He's a fan. He loves it,
Mhm.
and he knows how to respect the source material, the IP, and us. He
So
respects the
I was
fan base.
when that announcement happened, and it's so funny because like you know, me and you kind of had different experiences today with the Terry Metalis thing because I didn't know about your conversation until probably right before the show. And you sent
Yeah.
me this, you know, when you DM me, and then when that announcement came out about Vision and him, I was told like instantly, he crushes his Vision series. He's getting a film with
Yeah, he
Marvel.
is. You know
He's
it.
totally getting a
Marvel,
film.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, this is, write this day down, write this announcement down, write it down, because I'm telling you, this is going to be the turning point for the MCU. We are going to start getting excellent quality again. Like we got X-Men 97. It's wonderful. It's great. But I'm telling you, the live action makes a turn now. Once they see what Metalis can do, unless, here's the thing, Disney doesn't really like a whole bunch of free thinkers. They don't like a bunch of, don't get too creative with Disney because they will shut you down. But hopefully they don't mess with them too hard and they see how good he is and the final product and people just throwing their money at it. I'm telling you, Feige is going to pull him aside and say, I would like to groom you to take my spot
He's getting.
because I'm tired.
Hey, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, that would be a bigger leap than I was expecting because I see him getting like a West Coast Avengers film. Like I think they're going to let him
Yes.
throw the kitchen sink. And
Yes.
you know, like Marvel has this perception, like, oh, you know, they don't want people who really reads the comics and really. You hire a Terry Metalis, that goes right against the face of that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay,
This
you got
is
a guy.
big
He's about the
indicator.
lore. Yeah.
This is a big indicator that they're finally starting to see, I think we might have made a mistake. Like when we told the She-Hulk writers room, don't read the comics, that might not have been the best direction to take.
Maybe
So the fact that they're proud, like they're showing it all over the place that Terry Metalis is the showrunner. How often do showrunners for Marvel shows like this get this much attention? How often does the focus come to, the focus isn't on Paul Bettany, on Vision himself. The focus on this announcement isn't that it's coming out in 2026. The focus is that Terry Metalis is helming this ship.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
They do.
They know what they have.
Well, if you put it on perspective, like because they announced their X-Men film writer, so they're trying to lead with the talent, you know, behind the cameras. You know, that's what Marvel's trying to do. We'll see if that works for X-Men because I mean, should have got OnlyFans Bo. I'm just saying. He knows his X-Men. Like I'm just saying, that guy
started. That
he
dude
knows his X-Men.
I think he knows that his ride might be over. Like
It's a wrap.
because he's still kind of, he's starting to post the same thing over and over again on Twitter. Like, hey guys, remember I did X-Men 97. Don't forget it. Remember it,
bro.
Well,
videos now.
Again, it's still a mystery as to the reason why he was let go. You know,
no, it's not.
Oh.
It is not a mystery. Still knows.
Online conduct. Yeah.
He was doing porn on OnlyFans, unrestricted, quite grody porno. And he had posted some very wildly inappropriate, explicit things on his public Instagram back in November, and Disney was like, you signed a morality clause willingly. We didn't force you to sign this contract. We didn't force you to sign this morality clause, but you signed it. So you need to stop doing that. Take that off your Instagram. And then he started the OnlyFans, public, unrestricted, and he's the showrunner for a cartoon for Disney. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of forethought going on up here, like thought to the future.
We'll see how things go. I mean, he did get a chance to be creatively a part of season 2.
He had already finished season 2.
Yeah,
when they fired him. He'd already finished.
They are in the middle of making that as we speak.
Yeah, but he has no
control at all.
Done. He's absolutely done.
We'll see what season 3 brings, because that really is going to be the test.
Just to make this clear to everybody, they cannot bring Bo back. They can't, because if they do, then Gina Carano wins her lawsuit, and everyone else who's suing them for this kind of thing will win their lawsuits. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I think he burned, the bridges there.
He was not thinking.
Well, I just think that unlike James Gunn, there is no path to come back.
Yeah, and just to socks, I understand they brought back James Gunn. Yes, they brought back James Gunn, but James Gunn wasn't doing porn while working on a kids show.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know. Although a lot of his jokes were
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Those were awful.
He has some terrible tweets.
But again,
human being.
They were very old comments, and they were jokes. It wasn't like he had done anything.
No, what Gunn did was absolutely not worse than what Bo did. I'm sorry.
Doing something kind of explicit on OnlyFans, and there is that morality clause, but I think the hope.
It's not just the fact that it was OnlyFans, okay? It'd be one thing if it had some kind of paywall or age restriction. There was none. It was all open to the public. And you can't do that. And the stuff he was doing, I'm not kink shaming. Okay. You do you, boo-boo, behind your closed bedroom doors. I don't care. But the things he were doing grossed me the F out. I am 43. I have 4 children. Okay. It grossed me out to the point where I can't even form the words to say what he did that I saw with my eyeballs that I cannot burn out. It's like, just, bro, come on. You need to learn some discretion, okay?
Yes.
Learn some discretion. That's cool if that's what you're into, but planet Earth does not need to see it. Okay?
Yeah.
Didn't your mama teach you anything?
I'm just hoping for their sake that they can find someone who will be just as committed to the characters and wanting to
Well, here's the thing. Anthony Salidi was one of the writers, and he wrote some of my favorite episodes of X-Men 97. He is still on board. He's still on the project, and they have very vocally said they're not going to deter from Bo's vision for the series. They have everything. Listen, when Disney gets rid of you, you have to hand over your hard drives. You have to hand over any physical notebooks. You give them everything. Trust and believe. Disney basically has Bo DeMaio's brain engrams somewhere. They know what his plans are. And they still have the rest of the X-Men 97 team. It wasn't just Bo who worked on the show. We had other writers, and they did phenomenal. So we need to give them credit as well. But they are still there. They didn't get rid of anyone else.
Yeah.
Just the dude who secretly, well, not even secretly, publicly wants to do porn. So now he's free to go do that and make money while doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real quick, we got Wild Relic here, I guess, dropping the scoop in the chat, saying he knows people attached to this prequel film and that the new Enterprise will be called USS Lanyon. Said, scoop it first. Hey, I mean, we got video evidence, so if you're right, We'll revisit this in 2026 or this film's supposed to come out 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. I'm gonna timestamp this for future references. Go ahead, Danny.
Yay! Welcome, Osa Fresh.
Yeah, we got also Fresh here.
Let's
Level
talk
one
about
member.
this so-called prequel Star Trek movie they want to do. It kind of offended me, insulted and personally offended me, the premise behind this film. And I know it's going to tick Keith off too, because they're saying that the movie is going to be the meeting when the humanity met aliens for the first time, couple hundred years before Kirk, about humanity meeting aliens for the first time. And I'm like, hold up a moment. We had this. In fact, it's literally called Star Trek First Contact, 1996.
Yeah.
Look it up. It was very popular. It was a good movie. Vulcans were the first aliens that humanity met. And it's well documented throughout all of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what are you telling me that nobody over there in your little writing team has one original thought? Like, not a one of you?
No.
This movie was done. Jonathan Frakes directed it. Why?
So this film, again, Simon Kinberg producing. This prequel. I still feels like reboot vibes, but you got Toby Haynes who directed Andor episodes. I'm a huge fan of Andor. That's the whole Star Wars, Star Trek synergy right there. Go ahead, Keith.
I think it's because of a screenplay that my other twin brother, R&B, had talked about. I think Abrams is so desperate to come up with something that he and his people have just decided to just take a cue from something that Paramount already owns. R&B discussed a script that he found called Star Trek The Beginning by Eric Jedrenston. And from his description on his show of that script, it definitely sounds like something that was exciting, was fun, definitely something to see. At the time that it was written, it used Enterprise as part of the jump off point for that script, and it was meant to be part of a trilogy. And the characters that you were introduced to, this entire trilogy was going to be built around the early days of Starfleet, and what would eventually become the Earth Romulan War. And it sounds like Abrams figured out that that script was something that Paramount still had, and he's probably going to take some cues from it and add in a lot of that Abrams magic. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more, say no more. And bringing in Simon Kinberg should help do something. I mean, look again. I got to give it up to Simon Kinberg because he did get paid for doing the same movie twice. So I at least have to give him that,
Dark Phoenix,
X-Men 3.
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix is nothing more than just a really dressed up version of X-Men 3.
Yep.
And neither one of those were good.
I would rather watch the X-Men 3 over the Phoenix film, and they're both bad. Both films are bad, but at least one of them has Hugh Jackman. So,
Yeah.
so we'll take X-Men 3. But so with this film, again, we got Toby Haynes. Again, I'm a fan of Andor, so we'll see the look of this. Got Seth Grahame-Smith as the writer. This is producer of the It film and writer of Lego Batman.
Yes.
We'll take
Greatest
right?
piece of cinema of all time.
It says this project is said to be set decades before the events of the Abrams Star Trek film.
So it's Kelvin. That's right. It's Kelvin timeline.
Yeah. It involves the creation of the Starfleet and humankind's first contact with alien life. Again, There still was talking about doing a current film with the current cast, Chris Pine and all them, but this is jumping back, which I'm feeling a reboot. Is what they're trying to do here.
Well, technically because of the mistake. I mean, look, they negotiated with all these actors, and so they promised X amount of dollars if you made this film and did this and did that, right? So that really is the problem. You know, they need to come up with the money. And now that time has passed, all of these actors now have to be re-signed. Well, you think they're going to go with what they were getting paid before? No. Everybody's going to want more money.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Exactly.
So basically, you know, Abrams messed up, because my feeling is that what he should have done was he already should have had a script ready to go for these guys. And while he may not have been able to get Chris Hemsworth like he had originally promised, I still think you could have done something with that crew that would have been amazing. But it really does depend on first of all, whether or not you truly are a Star Trek fan. And if you're not someone that's trying to make Star Wars with Star Trek clothing.
Yes.
That's the
Which
big
has
thing.
been happened to us before many
It's going to keep happening.
times.
It's going to keep happening.
Yeah, nobody forget Star Trek in the mid 80s.
I look. The fact is that Abrams is an admitted non-fan. He's a fan of the Star Trek he's created.
Yes.
Not really a fan of Star Trek.
He's a fan of anything he's created.
That's right.
Like, he's not a Star Wars fan either, obviously.
But it's the same thing with his acolyte, aka Alex Kurtzman, who is a fan of the Star Trek that he's created, not necessarily a fan. He's even less of a Star Trek fan.
That's cool, because he was involved in Star Trek Picard Season 3, and I would really like a Star Trek Legacy series, so come on, Kurtzman.
Well, if he does
Keep him right with your life.
I can't do it. I will not support Kurtzman. Again, I keep telling people, check out Star Trek 2009 special features. There is a behind the scenes, and in the middle of all that, you have J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, and the producers all take a massive Star Trek quiz. Guess who did the worst? Meaning
Abrams.
They scored not one question correctly.
Oh, wait, was it Kurtzman? It was Kurtzman.
He got a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Man.
And here's my struggle with the Kelvin timeline is one of my best friends was head of makeup on those movies.
Yes.
And he did a wonderful job. And Neville Page, I have the pleasure of calling him friend as well.
Yes.
He worked on it. He got to be in the movie. He was a Romulan.
Yes.
And so I get that kind of nostalgic feeling like, oh, it's my friend. So that part of it, you know, I have that kind of connection with it. But it's definitely, and Chris Pine is fine, but still, I've got to think with my brain on this. It's so hard, though.
It is.
They're still developing. They said this fourth Trek film with that cast with Chris Pine and the crew. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they should just kind of leave that alone. Go ahead and go do this prequel and kind of, reboot from there. Like,
or continuing the previous reboot, I guess, would be more of a apt way, I guess. Since it's the Kelvin timeline, it just irks me. It really feels like they're trying to copy the thing they're already doing.
Basically,
you're already doing Star Trek. You can't Star Trek anymore. Star Trek.
Well, they're taking something, in my opinion, that they already own with the script for Star Trek: The Beginning, and they're trying to make that into something that is closer to what Abrams's version or vision is for Star Trek, with the help of Simon Kinberg. Again, I more power to him. I got no real complaints about the Kelvinverse because it is an alternate timeline. I can get behind that. My only problem with Star Trek is everything that Kurtzman touches is not good, in my opinion. And I do mean all of it. None of it means anything to me. None of it. I can't watch any of it. It's bad writing, bad producing, with a lot of very talented people who, in my opinion, if they had been fortunate enough to have the writers who made Berman Trek or even the original Star Trek, they would be way better off doing that stuff. And again, SYL, I think you should personally just start watching Star Trek. Just start with episode 1. I think you would like it more than you think you would.
Dude, check out Deep Space Nine. I highly recommend Deep Space Nine for newbies. Captain Sisko.
Oh,
Benjamin, so I've seen most of these films. It's just I probably either
not the film,
not the movies, not the movies.
Are you talking about the Next Generation, or what are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
Deep Space Nine. Okay,
she's talking about. Yeah,
that's one I do gotta watch. Yeah,
she's talking about DS9. I'm talking about Star Trek.
Okay,
start with episode 1, where no man has gone before, and work your way through. I'll even watch it with you if it comes down to that.
Oh, we should do. We should
Star
watch
Trek
the pilot.
Watch.
We should watch the pilot with Captain Pike. We should watch the pilot with Captain Pike.
Yeah,
the original one.
Yeah, the Cage.
Yeah.
Or we can just go ahead and treat it as part of the episode. I mean, part of the first season, and just go ahead and watch the 2-part menagerie, which,
But my personal, I love Next Generation. That's always going to be a part of me. But I really think that Deep Space Nine is my favorite.
Oh yes.
Series.
Oh yes.
Something about Benjamin Sisko. He's got that right mix of fatherly figure, but
ruthless.
He's not afraid to slap, but he's still this warm, confident, comforting individual at the same time.
That entire cast is amazing.
Amazing. Armin Shimmerman. That's when we started getting why can't I say his name? Joel why can't I say his name? We started getting him in every Star Trek everything after that. I don't know why I can't say his name, but that cast was absolutely top notch. The guy who played Gul Dukat was just phenomenal. And then you get Worf.
Mark Almond.
Then you get Worf.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
But no, who's the guy who plays Wei-Yung, and then he plays literally 100 other Star Trek characters?
Oh, that's that. Jeffrey
Combs.
Yeah,
Jeffrey Combs. For some reason, I wanted to call him Joel, and I don't know why. But Jeffrey Combs, phenomenal, versatile actor.
Oh.
Star Trek could not stand without him at this point.
James Darren.
Yes.
Adding James Darren to the cast was
Terry Farrell.
Oh, Terry Farrell.
We are not sleeping on Kira Nerys. Thank you very much. I have so many Bajoran noses that I have made custom made for myself so I can be a Bajoran like Kira, like Major Kira. Nana Visitor was her name. And let me tell you something where Star Trek is so unique opposed to Star Wars is that they keep their people and they not only love them, they revere them. Like you do one Star Trek spot and you are booked for life, for every convention, for every appearance, for every Star Trek, the cruise, everything. Yeah. And the fans will find you and they will love you harder than you've ever been loved in your entire life. Let me tell you a little story about Gates McFadden has never had to work a day in her life after she played Beverly Crusher because she I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. This is Dr. Crusher
Yes.
on the original series. Why did I say that? The Next
Next
Generation.
Generation. Yeah.
She was beautiful, brilliant, no nonsense. And then in Star Trek Picard season 3, she got to be a total 100% badass. That woman never, ever, ever has had to work again. All she has to do is show up for a convention and give some hugs and talk a little bit and then go. And people will just throw money at her because Star Trek loves its people. It doesn't matter if you play this one character in this one show and this character isn't a part of this timeline or whatever era of time that they're in currently. They will slap a fake nose and some ears on you and make you a totally different character because they love you so much and they want to celebrate you. And that is something that's so incredibly unique to Star Trek. Nobody else does it. Nobody.
Yeah. I'll give you that for sure.
Learning
about the Trek. Just take a but take a breather there. No, it's fine. But yeah, real quick in the chat, definitely as was mentioned, Robert Meyer Burnett running a little behind. We're gonna see if he's still able to pop in, and we'll probably just have some false advertisement here. But we'll see if he's able
everyone
to get
still he lied.
Yeah, I know it's like it's all for the clicks. We all should. That's what it's all for. But definitely, I like the idea of doing a watch along, like just starting with the OG Star Trek series, and we'll definitely get some. We'll get something set up for that because that'll be literally my first time watching those, like for real. So we got Crusher combos. And Star Trek is just an amazing community for the actors and fans. Unique characters, amazing stories, getting the fans to interact with them is just a joy, unique experience. Definitely, absolutely. For sure. Good stuff. Let's see. What'd you say to me here, Keith?
Well, I put that in a private chat for both
private reasons.
It's a little something that
So you're not going to say?
Well, it's a link to the story about Star Trek: The Beginning.
Oh, gotcha.
That way you guys can look it over at your leisure.
I definitely will. Thank you for that, Keith.
Oh, this is the script.
Always looking out.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to bookmark that. Okay.
And it's the script. Keith, my man.
Look! My other twin brother is the one with all the hookups. I just occasionally find certain things. That's all I can say about that. Okay.
Was interesting. Robert Meyer Burnett, he had the title of the new film. I think he dropped that as soon as this article dropped. Then he dropped the name of the new film as well. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I definitely
He has a lot of contacts. He's got a lot of contacts. And he is so tied in. Don't let anything look. I know he's not here, so I can go ahead and comfortably say this. Robert Meyer Burnett
sends feet pics. Thank you for telling us.
is definitely the man when it comes to fandom. I mean, if there was something, if tomorrow it was reported that Robert Meyer Burnett was going to basically be running Star Wars, I'd feel great about it.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Really?
I'd trust it. If tomorrow the MCU is going to be run by Robert Meyer Burnett, I'd trust it. I'd trust that he'd do a great job instantly. Yeah. And of course, if tomorrow they were to announce that Simon Kinberg was out and Robert Meyer Burnett was in, I would feel so good about that. Okay, he has the hookup. He's that good. And I know it sounds like I'm just building him up, but he's done so much. And plus, again, he got to support him. He's my other twin brother. So,
I love that I had to ask you to specify that earlier, and thank you for doing so.
So the Star Trek, as I said, we're going to work on that watch party thing. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, the script is leaked out in the chat now. How did that happen?
The beginning. You get on your robot, SYL.
Jeez. That's why somebody put the link in there. It's like, okay. but yeah, so we'll see what comes of that. Again, with Star Trek, I think it's a fine line, to, I know you have the purists, for Star Trek, and then it's like, how can you get more general people like me, casual people like me? That's probably why they do like the Abrams angle. I'm sure it's like a happy medium, I guess is the point I'm making with Simon Kinberg and what they're trying to do with this new film, director of Andor. Yeah.
Kurtzman Trek really is to actual Star Trek what Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is to the history of Abe Lincoln himself.
That's deep.
And it's true. And somewhere in the middle is what Abrams is doing. Abrams, again, to me, I never really gave Abrams a hard time because it is an alternate timeline. So
you never gave him a hard time.
No. I really, Kurtzman, anybody who's watched my show knows that I give Kurtzman one hell of a time. So I would never expect Kurtzman to ever come to my show. Although if he ever did, I would give him the opportunity to explain a few things and to tell his side of the story. And I would let him fully get it out there. And I would ask questions. I wouldn't be mean about it. I would just say, well, what about this? And what about this? And, it would be, I would like to think, a genuine tit for tat, or at least a very revealing interview. But I don't hate these people. I just scratch my head when it comes to, I've never.
Why do you do the things you do?
Well, I mean, again, I have to say this. Why would you ever hire people to write something when that's not really in their background? I've never, when I was growing up, I remember my mother and grandmother used to watch soap operas. I was never that big on soap operas. But if I found myself actually as the showrunner of a soap opera, I would at least, I would have at least studied. I would have at least tried to understand where that soap opera came from, whether it was General Hospital, Young and the Restless, Edge of Night for some of you older fans out there. I would do my due diligence in trying to understand what that show was, who these characters were, and how I could do the best in continuing what had already been put before its fans prior to me getting there. I wouldn't just start making stuff up, and anything that didn't really correspond to how I was doing things, I would change entirely or just get rid of. I would never do that because I didn't create it. It's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have in Hollywood right now. You have an entire generation of new creatives who really do not understand what legacy actually means.
Right.
You can't take someone else's ideas and just start doing whatever the blank you want with it. Your job, like caring for public lands and the national parks, is to leave it better than when you found it. Mm-hmm. But it's not to alter it in such a way as to leave it nearly unrecognizable for those who were actually fans of it in the first place. Your job is to just keep it going, just make good material, keep the fans entertained. They may not always be happy, but keep them entertained. And in the end, leave it either like you found it or slightly better. But it's not yours. It's still Gene Roddenberry's.
Yes.
And no matter what you do to it, you should at least try to play by those rules.
Respect it.
Yeah, just respect the material. And that not only goes for Star Trek, that goes for everything. I don't care if it's Marvel or DC. I don't care what book or comic strip or comic book you're basing it on. They could announce a Johnny Quest movie tomorrow, And as long as they're willing to abide by the rules of that universe and that cartoon, because I don't talk about the sequel cartoon because it's trash, but
What about
the
Venture
original
Brothers?
Johnny Quest. Oh, Venture Brothers is fun. Venture Brothers should still be in production, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no reason why they had to go.
Every time I lose the TV remote or anything, I quote Dr. Orpheus, "The remote has vanished from the material sphere." Love that show. Roxanne for president.
It's fun, and it's actually funny, unlike certain
Actually,
cartoons from
so
Kurtzman Trek.
well, no, one of the writers and animators from Venture Brothers works on Lower Decks. Phil Murphy.
I get that.
Mm.
I'm just not impressed with it. I don't know what it is.
There.
Yeah, and you know what? Enjoy it. I'm not impressed with it.
I'll enjoy it without you, Keith.
You know what? Enjoy it for me. Enjoy it for me. And that goes for everybody else that likes any of that. Kurtzman Trek is not my deal, but if that's your deal, enjoy it. Love it. Embrace it. You know, I just, again, it's not something that does anything for me. So.
Nobody cook a little. I can't lie. I do both.
And like I said, definitely, I have a lot of catching up to do with this Star Trek, so we're gonna get that started soon. Now, again, letting people know, Robert Meyer Burnett just has some unexpected things popped up, so we'll see if he's able to still make it. We'll have to do a rain check. I have to totally redo my thumbnail, but definitely we shall see. Just real quick in the chat. If there's any comments or questions, it's a good time to throw it in, and we can allow Keith to continue to shit on Kurtzman. That'll allow that would definitely allow a lot of time to go by. But
hey.
No. Now, side thing, we didn't touch on the Strange New Worlds. That's Akiva Goldsman. That's his project, right?
I like it.
Yeah.
It was saying with this film, I don't know if it's like a rumor thing, but they were just like, I don't know if that show was like scheduled to kind of like end anytime soon, Danny. I'm not sure if they have like an end goal, because with this prequel film, I guess it's like that may kind of push that show out. Just according to rumors.
I don't know, because Strange New Worlds isn't Kelvin. It's not the Kelvin timeline. It's supposed to be regular old Trek, and that film is supposed to be Kelvin timeline. So, it's still considered in universe. That is straight from the mouth of Neville Page, Dave Bless, all of them. It's in Trek.
It's in Kurtzman Trek. That's what I call it K Trek. You know, it's to me.
Well, no, it's not. It's not in the Kelvin timeline.
No, Kurtzman Trek, not Kelvin.
Oh,
Kelvin is Kelvin timeline. K Trek is what we have now.
I need you to be more specific.
Yeah. We you heard of K-pop. Well, that's what I think of
Barely.
what Kurtzman.
I'm 43.
That's what Kurtzman has done to Star Trek. He's turned it into K-pop.
Well, I like Strange New Worlds. I'm actually rather surprised by Rebecca Romaine as Una.
Yeah, she's actually good in that show,
She's great. I love Anson Mount as Captain Captain Pike.
Yeah.
And his hair has done a spectacular job in his.
I think even Keith likes Anson Mount. I think he can at least.
Anson Mount is a cool character. I just think that they built him a really nice apartment that's supposed to be the captain's quarters. And again, I still ask, what is it with having a fireplace in a starship? Can somebody please get with me on that?
Well, it's not like a hospital. Like no lighting candles. It's gonna set off the fire extinguishers. But I mean, it is considered by the people running Star Trek right now that it is in the regular timeline.
Yeah, I know.
I do like Una Chin, and I like her story. I like her character arc. I want to get Ad Astra per Aspera tattooed on me because I felt that to the stars through hard work. Ad Astra per Aspera. I feel like that's kind of been my life. You know, I've worked hard for what I have, and I'm proud of the hard work I put in to what I have in my life right now. And I really, really felt that. And I like that message that you can't just sit around and wait for things to come to you. If you want something, you really want something, you got to go out there and you have to work for it. There is absolutely no substitute for sweat. There's no substitute whatsoever. So I like that about Una Chen, that she can't help the way she was born. Wonder why that strikes a chord with me. But she can't help the way that she is born. And despite that, she went for what she wanted and she worked hard at it. She pulls it off rather nicely. And I like the camaraderie, the chemistry between her and Anson Mount. And come on, Nurse Chapel is a stone cold fox in Strange New Worlds. That chick is dope. She is so cool. I love her. I love her. I want to be best friends with her and do her hair. Maybe make out. I don't know. She makes me feel confused, but I really like her character and the actress that plays her.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a good show.
I keep waiting for Dr. Piper to show up.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Mbenga, Dr. Mbenga is kind of a deep cut, and they brought him back.
Yeah.
And I cannot pronounce that poor man's name, but he's in Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare as well. He's a wonderful actor. He's absolutely superb.
Again, I like him.
I just want to give him a hug.
But
that
personal
space stuff that you go ahead.
I know, I have a problem.
Well, I just keep thinking Dr. Mbega and Dr. Piper should be working together in sickbay, but they decided they didn't want Dr. Piper. That's fine. You know, they've made several other changes to what everything is, and we're going down the Kurtzman route with, we're going down the Kelvin route by making it so that a lot of these characters actually meet well before that they initially met.
Yeah.
So, again, making those changes, just in my opinion, the people working on Star Trek now can say that it's official and that it's reality, but in actuality, it doesn't fit with the people that actually.
And I agree with you. All I was saying was that according to those in charge, this is supposed to be main continuity. And my biggest note on Strange New Worlds is Spock. I love the actor, I do, and I love that this is his version, but he's way too emotive. He emotes entirely too much.
Too much.
Dude, this is Spock happy. This is Spock sad. This is Spock confused. That's it. That's all you need to do. You raise that eyebrow. That's absolutely it. And this poor guy is doing the gambit. He's just running the gambit with the emotions.
My biggest thing with this cast is it's not, again, as I said before, I got nothing against any of these actors at all. But I think that they would be served better if you had Star Trek writers who actually worked on Star Trek writing their stuff rather than the people who had to go to Star Trek camp in order to learn how to do that. And if you, because that's according to Alex Kurtzman himself, that's how they did it. You had to go to Star Trek camp to learn how to do it. And the person who they had running that camp, again, was someone who worked initially for Pocket Books. Turns out the books they were working on were all the books outside of the Kirk books, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise. They never worked on any of those. They worked on everything else over here, and they're the experts. Oh, so you couldn't find Terry Matalas? You couldn't find any of the other people that actually worked on Star Trek to basically run your camp trek for all the people who never watched the original series, never watched Next Generation, never watched any of it, and my personal thing is, hey, why don't you take a few months off and just watch all the episodes for all the shows,
Just
and then
watch it. You don't need to
that's
go
the
to
easiest
camp.
thing in the world,
Just watch it. That's George Hildebrand. That's the head research guy for Terry Matalas for Star Trek and
Yeah.
Star Trek Picard season 3. That's what he does.
Yes.
He just watches Star Trek, and
Yes.
he's watched Star Trek his whole life. That's why he's so good at it. Dave Blass, the guy who's head of production design, massive Star Trek nerd, and he watches Star Trek, and he's a super fan. So that's why Star Trek Picard season 3 looked so good. That's honestly why Star Trek Strange New Worlds looks good, because he watches Star Trek and he will correct people.
That's right.
Yeah, I like
it's
the
great.
show.
Just let's just Enterprise, Strange New Worlds, original Enterprise.
And again, he's not like the showrunner. He's the production designer, so he does have a boss, and he does have to do what he is told.
Oh yeah.
So
sorry, Akiva Goldsman.
I'm still like I still
artist.
have like PTSD from my friend getting death threats when he was the head makeup designer on X-Men Apocalypse, and people were sending him death threats for how Oscar Isaac looked.
Yeah,
as Apocalypse, and it was like, dude, he has to do what he's told.
Yeah,
That's not his fault.
If you don't like something, you don't like something. But there's no reason to send anybody death threats. Everybody's got a job to do. Everybody's got to make their house payment. Everybody's got to,
Yeah.
Well, they should have sent the death threats to his bosses. If you're going to send death.
No kidding.
Well,
not advocating death threats.
Yeah. There's not. I don't even look. I don't. Look. There's a lot that you could actually hate people for. This is entertainment, okay? I may not like what Alex Kurtzman's doing, but I don't know him to actually go, he should be, I don't want to do that to the guy.
It ain't that serious, bro. These are cartoon characters.
It's like, look, dude, you want me to watch your show, and that's great, except I'm not feeling it. Okay?
Like, where's that enthusiasm, passion, and, intuitive thinking or whatever? I'm trailing off there, but where's all that passion and everything when you're considering who's in office? Like when you're considering who to vote for, like seriously, put that where it belongs, please.
I mean, if you really want your ratings to be something, you need to act like you want to attract me to what you're doing.
Right.
So far, everything I've seen I don't like, so try harder. If you don't want me, that's fine. And I'm good with it. But I'm not buying your merchandise, and you kind of need me for that. Same thing with you Star Wars people out there. You need us for that, too. It's just like, look, it ain't happening for you because there's a lot of people who really don't like what you're doing. But that's fine. You do you. You keep going down this road.
And you know what the secret is? Do you know what the magical secret is to get them to stop doing those things that you don't like? Stop effing talking about it. Quit sharing it. Quit tweeting it. Quit hashtagging it. You're just giving them traction. As long as it's in the conversation, they're like, they're talking about us. They're paying attention to us. Do it again. To them, negative reinforcement is just as fine as positive reinforcement. Yeah. You're telling the algorithm you love it.
And that's great.
Talk about it.
We'll see how things go. You keep putting out, a lot of them can't put out new merchandise because a lot of the dealers of that stuff don't want to work with them. Right. That's another unfortunate thing about current Star Trek, which is a lot of the people who made a lot of money for Star Trek don't want to deal with the new Trek people. They don't want to deal with it. They're not making their merchandise, and that's fine. I mean, you're looking at all of the struggles that Star Wars is going through right now when you're seeing a lot of their merchandise at a half price store or the dollar store, and people still aren't buying it. It's gathering dust, and it's just turns out a lot of what Star Wars was their merchandising. If nobody's buying it,
They changed the game. Star Trek changed the game when it came to movies and
that's right.
merchandising.
That's right. But if nobody's offering it and nobody's buying it, you're still stuck. And so the thing that JJ especially likes is that merchandising. Unfortunately, that merchandising for the 2009 Star Trek, are you serious, bro?
It was lame.
Lame. No, lame would have been a step up.
Ah, ah,
Bad.
ah.
I mean, ooh, their tricorder. It's a piece of. It's not very well made. The figure's not very well done. And you had the gall to tell Paramount, hey, could you guys just not sell any merchandise from the original Trek and just go ahead and sell our stuff instead? Really? Really? That ain't gonna happen.
So it's a little back and forth in the chat about the Strange New Worlds and if it's if it's a alternate timeline or not. I think they're taking some liberties, and this is just me as a casual fan. I think for your head canon, if you feel it fits the timeline, then I think it does. You know what I mean? With me, it's kind of all the same for me. So I'm not that's nuanced. So I just like the show.
So Still's done talking.
You know what I mean? And so this is the casual voice with all this. But then obviously I think those who, if you know like particular storylines and you know it's not really lining up with Strange New Worlds, then it will be alternate probably in your head canon. Not sure if the those around the show, if they actually came out and said his main timeline or not, Danny, but that is what it is.
Well, the movie that's coming out that we were talking about, it's Kelvin.
But I was talking about Strange New Worlds.
Oh, Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is main continuity according to
the people currently running it.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna take their word for it, folks. But as far as the new film, that's totally the Abrams timeline. So pretty cool.
And I do agree with the chat that we need to do more Trek series like Star Trek Picard season 3. Bring back DS9, baby. Bring back Avery Brooks. That man is a classically trained actor and a voice like butter. Just bring that man back, please. I need more Captain Sisko. He's been with the Prophets long enough.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's really going to depend on who ends up taking over Paramount.
Right.
Personally, while Sony is putting a lot out there, I still think they're going to run into some problems with the federal government.
They're getting into monopoly.
Yeah,
territory.
You're getting awfully close to that. And I'm not saying they can't do it,
but like Microsoft was in '96.
That's right. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying that the federal government's going to make it real difficult for them to pull that off. And seriously, the last thing Paramount really needs is to make a deal that they can't go all the way with. There's a lot of people, a lot of their jobs are riding on what happens next. And what you need is a group to come in that will actually work really hard to accomplish, not just with Star Trek, but with the whole of the entire film and television library of Paramount. Again, you're talking Top Gun. I mean, you're talking Mission Impossible. I would still like somebody to get with Tom Cruise to try to convince him that maybe they should start extending some of this stuff, kind of ironically back to TV. It would be great to use this universe for a new series on TV, even though Tom Cruise has been saying no. It would be great to do that because he has set up this really cool universe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just
me.
I
would be all for that, man. Like you said, the streaming era, like Mission Impossible, can be a great streaming series.
Even if you did a series, even if you did like some straight to streaming, miniseries where it's like 10 episodes just for Paramount, and you have different characters, but it's all set within the same universe as the films. And so
There's a reason why those films are based off of a TV series, because it was stupid popular.
That first Mission Impossible film, that was probably as close. Well, it kind of went actiony halfway through, but the beginning of that film was like as close to the TV show that Tom Cruise has ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That was great.
I saw that in the movie theater.
Me too.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. That's where we go to watch.
No.
But no, that was great. And like I said, that would be a cool series idea. Now, it brought up again in the article, like you said, Sony is vying for Paramount. Someone's going to buy Paramount, right? So they're going to get this through somehow.
It ain't going to be Zaslav. Keep your filthy, nasty fingers off.
They pulled out those talks. Yeah, they pulled out those talks a while ago. He was like, nah.
Well, I heard that there's a way for Zaslav to still be a part of it, depending on who else buys it.
Don't you give me nightmares, Keith.
Look, I know you're not a big fan of Zaslav. I like Zaslav because he's a man of his word. He's a man of his word, He's not going to go in there.
He's done talking. Good night, folks.
Zaslav is strictly about the bottom line.
Like, that's right.
And he makes a lot of unpopular choices.
That's right. He was the first one. Look, a lot of the people that run a lot of these studios don't like him because a year before he actually, went in to buy and Warner Brothers, he was the guy telling everybody, this whole streaming thing is just a boondoggle, right? Technically it doesn't really work. It only works if you do this stuff over here, and you guys aren't doing that stuff over here. You're doing all this stuff over here, and you're expecting to get rich, and you're not. And he called it. He called it. It's pretty basic. If you want to make money, you need to start doing things to make money. The whole formula that was originally used for films to actually be profitable, they're not doing that. And then they're walking around like, I don't know where all this money went.
I don't know
all
what
the
to
money
do with my hands.
I don't know. I don't know where all the money went.
The weird thing, those who it'll be both sides to this. Those who are not fans of Zaslav and some of his decisions, like, you're probably gonna get triggered by the end of this year because of like the string of successful Warner Brothers films that they're putting out. Like,
they're making money. They're making
Joker
money.
2.
Yeah,
Dune did great. Yeah.
Look, everything is not perfect with Warner Brothers, but guess what? Compared to when Zaslav took over, the amount of their debt has shrunk.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Disney's debt is still, it's still there. And it's growing the more we get reports about how much a lot of these post-Endgame films have actually cost. So realistically, this is a business first and foremost. If you're not about making the money, you're doing it wrong. That's it. And it's something that is a reality for the entire business. It doesn't look, in the end, it doesn't matter really what we all think about a thing. These studios aren't doing it just to make us happy. They're doing it to make a profit. Mm-hmm. And if something is not bringing in the money, and that's the thing. Right. Alex Kurtzman is a really good salesman. He knows how to get money for projects. He just doesn't know how to make something profitable. That's it. And that'll be his undoing.
Right. And as far as with the Warner Brothers, I see in the chat talking about their stocks, that's because the stockholders, they anticipate Warner Brothers either selling or merging again. Mm-hmm. Their stocks may drop some more, but they're not going to fire Zaslav if since the Barbie release, they had a successful Wonka, Dune, Godzilla, Kong.
Yes,
it's been a string of like we can be as biased as we want to be, but men lie, women lie, numbers don't. they're having a string of success at the box office, whether you like it or not. I mean,
That's right.
Like Disney, it's a godsend that they got Deadpool Wolverine because, like, goodness,
Yeah,
the Marvel side.
godsend. Who was the one that put that deal forward? Huh. His name was Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek did that
Feige's
deal.
taking all the credit right now, so you know.
Oh, Iger's always taking all the credit, even though, according to Iger, it's like that was just an 11th month hiccup. 11 months? Yeah, that's about right. Chapek was only in charge for 11 months, and yet you would think that every mistake that Disney's ever made in its entire history was all Bob Chapek's fault. In 11 months. Yeah. Love that math.
I'm telling you. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. In the chat, again, just a reminder, Meyer Burnett had some previous things come up, unexpected things, I should say, that's come up. We're going to have to do a rain check because I definitely want to get his Star Wars or Star Trek take. Maybe him and Keith may disagree on that. I don't know. I think he has a different angle on this than what Keith was talking about with Star Trek. But looking forward to that.
Look, he's my other twin brother. That doesn't make us clones. It just makes us.
So definitely, but no, we understand real life stuff. You know, things come up. So understood. We'll get that together soon. In the chat, any last minute comments or questions, throw it in the chat. For this platform, I have the new episode weekly with Retro, where we talk the latest film and geek culture projects. She does a lot of film stuff, so I'm really looking forward to a lot of topics with that. This week, Furiosa comes up, and I don't know why Zybra is using all caps. Yeah, thumbnail. Okay, thanks, Zod, for all the caps. But Furiosa comes out this week. Anyone excited for that film? I'm definitely checking that out this week.
I'm gonna check it out. It's hard for me to get excited about stuff anymore. I'm excited for Deadpool Wolverine, but Ryan Reynolds is in charge of that one. Like, that's a no-brainer. But other than that, it's really hard to get excited about films these days because we've been hurt so many times.
So many times.
That's an L. That's an L, K-Tar. Yeah. That's an L. But for sure. Yeah, but no, definitely. I think Furiosa, again, this is wait, let's see, who's this through? Furiosa. That's not Warner. Yeah, it's Warner Brothers as well. That could be just another W, and while people, are losing sleep over Zaslav. I'm just saying. Now the DC stuff, we can talk about that all day, like how that was a terrible year last year.
But don't get me started on the Flush.
I'm just saying, like these other films, Warner Brothers is digging out of that hole. Now, I will say, again, I think it's to make themselves look better for some future deal. And like I said, we'll see. Furiosa, I'm looking forward to it. It looks like cinema. A lot of caps in the chat. It's a lot of caps. See Danny with the caps.
Look,
I like George Miller. Okay, I've always been a big George Miller fan.
We're children of the 80s.
That's right.
Remember Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. Tina Turner.
I
say more.
Yeah, this is a part of that entire story. And yeah, it's Furiosa, and that's fine. But it's George Miller, a man of his age, still getting it done. I mean, it just makes me mad because I still think they should have allowed him to make his Justice League movie. I think his Justice League movie was going to rock. And he didn't get a chance to do that. I mean, literally, he was
doing Kingdom Come Batman in that film.
Dope.
Like, come on.
Oh, what he had.
Kingdom Come.
What he had, and I don't know if you know the story, Danny, but they had the cast, they had the costumes, they were days away from starting production. The sets they had, everything. and it got called at the 11th
Happens
hour.
so often.
And
Doggone strike.
There's so much stuff we don't even know that we're missing out on. It just hurts your heart.
it does. It does. Because
It's
we ended up.
interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's definitely interesting. Like, what would have happened if he came out with that? You know, again, Kingdom Come Batman, that would have been so cool in that film.
Well, it would have
Then you had
changed the
Nolan.
course of what they did, because you would not have had you wouldn't have had the Green Lantern movie. Okay,
Oh, man. That would have been great.
Yeah, because they had Green Lantern.
Great.
He casted the entire Justice League. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash.
Yeah, John Stewart, Green Lantern.
Oh, my dude.
Yeah, John Stewart.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
That was gonna be amazing.
But then you had, what you had was a Green Lantern film written by a certain someone and his friend,
Jeff
and
Jones.
that's not the certain someone I was talking about. But hey,
Zod, link that script for us, Zod. Pretty please.
The thing about the Green Lantern film is that supposedly it was done by people who were fans. And the movie was what it was. And then we got Batman. And then we eventually got Superman. And turns out somebody decided to let Christopher Nolan in on, hey, your Batman's going to be the Batman for our new universe. And Nolan's like, yeah. No.
Let's end
that's
this.
not the film I'm making.
Right.
My Batman is not doing what you guys are doing. You might as well find another one. And they did. So
Snyderverse was born. Yeah.
There you go.
That's weird. Like, because again, if we had the George Miller, we wouldn't have never got BVS, Man of Steel.
Yeah, we never would have gotten any of that. Of course, we never would have gotten that really. We would have gotten something eventually, but we would not have gotten that really awful Green Lantern script. So
that's rough. That's rough. Well, we're gonna go ahead and round this one out. Definitely. Apologies to those expecting the Robert Meyer Burnett Star Trek. I was ready for him to trek out like crazy. We're gonna reschedule that, and or we may record something or something like that and get that conversation up. For sure. As I mentioned, I got the upload with Retro coming up tomorrow. Any other film, geek culture news, I'll pop up when I have an upload if that comes about. Danny, you was mentioning you got some hot interviews set up.
I have some amazing interviews coming up, guys. Like, hold on to your butts on this, because, and I'm going to butcher his name. I've never been able to say it right because I am who I am as a person. But Fabian Nicieza, I never say his name right. Fabian, the co-creator of Deadpool, is coming on Comics and Cosmetics in less than 2 weeks. The co-creator of Deadpool is coming on Comics and Cosmetics, guys, in less than 2 weeks. Like, seriously, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to Comics and Cosmetics. Hit that notification bell so you get notified as soon as that drops, because I'm so excited for that. I'm like, hey, Fabian, what's up? Can you do it now? How about now? Is it June 4th now? Is it now? Is it now? God love him. He's so tolerant. So he's coming up. And not just that, guys. Not just that. You're not going to believe this. As of today, Terry Metalis himself is coming on Comics and Cosmetics. I'm not kidding. I have the receipts. I showed it to SYL. I showed it to Keith. I showed it to my mom, who has no shitting idea who Terry Metalis is. But Terry Metalis is coming on Comics and Cosmetics, and I literally texted him back, "Don't mind me. I just peed my pants." So excited. Thank you so much. And he told me, he said, "I would absolutely love to come on your show. Let's work something out. I'm swamped at the moment. I just started a new project, but I would absolutely love to come on your show." And I was like, I'm dying. And then 5 minutes later, Terry Matalas, showrunner for Vision series on Disney Plus, and I think I fainted. I almost died because I was in the bathtub. So Terry Matalas almost killed me. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm grateful for the opportunity. So make sure you're subscribed to Comics and Cosmetics, pretty please, and thank you. And
Awesome.
hit the notification butter. Hit the notification butter. Okay, it's important, and the button.
More butter.
The butter and the button, and that way you get notified when my Fabian Nicieza and Terry Matalas interviews drop. Like, talk about failing upward, guys. How did I do this?
Failing upward. Hey, sometimes you just, we just fall into stuff, right? That's how my channel is here. No, but we got Maria. She says, do you think Ben Affleck's going to make a surprise cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine? I'm going to say no, Maria. I'm not expecting the Ben Affleck.
No, his ex-wife is in it, and they're not going to. His other ex-wife by the name of Jen, she's in it, and they don't want to run into each other. They wouldn't be on the same project. So
they're co-parents and stuff, So
I think they're pretty.
There's one thing. Look, as a person who has had to co-parent, thankfully, I don't have to deal with that anymore. But as a person who's had to co-parent, there's one thing with having to interact with someone once every so often, and then there's having to deal with someone at work. I will kill that man if I have to work with him. I'm just saying. Just saying.
But their circumstances may not be like yours, right? So, but no, I'm not expecting Ben to make an appearance in Deadpool Wolverine. I know it's been long talks about. Well, I'll say that it was a newer rumor report saying, Ben's had talks with Feige. That's actually an old rumor.
Role. Yeah. He does have an MCU role coming.
Right. He has had talks with them several times before.
Yes.
So that's kind of recirculating now. But I do believe, because you got to think, he was having talks with them like 2020, 2021. You had the lockdowns, you had these strikes, so that kind of slows down these, these possibilities. Now that projects are ramping back up, I totally expect Ben to be, to do something MCU, direct something, do something. We'll see. We'll definitely see overall with that. So, Keith, you got the host of Morning Coffee with Keith, and what day is that again, and what else you got going on?
That is every Thursday, so it's tomorrow. So every time we do this show, the next day, my show, and it's at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's on the Pop Culture Minefield YouTube channel. You can check me out every Thursday at that time. Tomorrow, I think we're going to do. You know what? Check the show out tomorrow, and you'll be surprised.
Check out and find out. Yeah.
You will find out. I mean,
F around and find out tomorrow morning. So definitely looking forward to that as well. So a lot of stuff to talk about again with this film news. I might have my reaction to Furiosa. That'll probably be up tomorrow. I'm gonna try to get an early screening of it and check that out. So looking forward to cinema, absolute cinema. But definitely appreciate those in the chat, except everyone that use capital letters. And more
knucklehead.
And more updates to come. Well, okay, some of y'all use capital letters, but more to come. Definitely, again, make sure your notifications are on. The links to the panel members are all in the description as well. We'll be back next Wednesday with this crew, and Speedy will be back for the multiverse. Much love to SYL Nation. Mikey First Forever. We out here, y'all.
To SYL Nation. Stay tuned.
SYL ABDUL Inc. to speak true as he bring the news. Coffee talk, stay brew, kick back, get real comfortable. Here to stay, no on delay, make sure I be's informed. On the road, on the go, playing ball on that pavement floor. It's the lifestyle right now, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Guaranteed all week's going to always be on time. That's my word, y'all heard. heard from Il Davino Vega's mouth. What's that worth much more than what these networks talk about?